Well, what do you think? Do you want to quilt along with me? Let's do spring showers. Hi everyone, Cristin Som here, and it is time to work on the spring showers quilt finally. We have been talking about this quilt since November of last year, and it's now released and ready for us to play along. So the supplies that we need, real quick, so the embroidery CD, it comes in the booklet. You need to have that to be able to get all the designs. And also the fabric kit, which is optional. You could use your own fabrics if you choose, but the fabric kit makes it easy. You don't have to spend all that time deciding what goes with what. So the fabric kit is great. And the thread kit. Again, you can use your own threads if you choose, but there is an official spring showers kit and it's got all of the threads that you need. So there's 12 in this packet, and again, just makes it easy to know what goes with what. So those are the required items. You'll also need some stabilizer. So Kimberbell project batting, fusible backing. I do this on the back of all of my fabrics. Some do it just on the main fabric. That's up to you. I do it on all of them. I find that it makes them more crisp and less puckering, really no puckering. So that works for me. And then you'll need some mesh cutaway stabilizer. That one is for in your hoop. I'm using the light mesh by Kimberbell. And then later, not yet, but later we will need iron away topping. I've never used this. You can see it's still in the package, but I believe it's block 5 that we need this. So we'll talk about that as we get closer, but those are the stabilizers you'll need. And then I used all of these packets. They're called dry erase packets. There's a link under this video, and it just makes it really easy to organize your fabrics. So as you can see, I pre-cut all of my fabrics, including my batting. I have everything in that one packet. Like for today's block, I have everything needed for that block. So we are going to do, we're going to start in the order of the booklet, but we're not necessarily going to stay with the order of the booklet. But it's your quilt. You do it how you want, but for the group project, we're going to do it together. So another thing is the hoops. So I am going to be using my 8x8 hoop on this first block, but if you only have a 5x7 hoop as your largest hoop, then we'll go over how to do that as well. I think I'm going to put that in a separate tutorial, but we will give that information. So one other thing is, some people were talking about metallic threads in the Cristin Creates group on Facebook. If you haven't joined that group, you really should. We have a great time in that group. It's like wonderful friends sitting around doing a quilt together. You know, it's fun. I love that group. So wonderful people in that group, and there's a lot of help in that group as well. So people will ask what metallic thread they recommend, and what about this or that block. There's lots of questions and lots of people to help answer. So one thing is, some people were talking about using a metallic thread on the rain, especially. There's some blocks that have rain. I think that that would be really cute. So if you bought the thread kit, I just want to point out, sorry, I'm going to reach here. The thread kit has all the colors that you will need. We'll probably need white and black also, and those usually aren't included, but it has all of these wonderful colors, 12 threads, thread spools in all. So you could use, like, this teal would be great for the rain. You could definitely use that. There isn't a gray in here, but there's this one called Cashmere, and that would work well for wind or whatever you might want for a gray. But another option, if you want to do something a little bit fun, is you could add metallic thread. So I am pretty sure that I'm going to use this blue metallic thread for my rain. I think it's really pretty. This is by Thread Art. It's number L68, and I've stitched it out on a test, and it's just a very pretty color. There's also this brighter blue. And this one is L70 if you wanted to up your metallic thread collection. There's a bright blue, it's called Royal Blue by Glisten Glide Glisten thread, and that one is very pretty too. And then for the silver, if you wanted to add silver metallic, because like I said, there is one that will work for the gray, and these go really well. The ones in the kit go really well with the background fabrics, and so that's something to keep in mind if you want something to merge well with the fabrics, or if you want to stand out a little bit more. So I have two gray or silver metallic threads. One is by Glide Glisten. It's called Deep Silver. Or this one from King Star Metallic, I think it was called. King Fujix. It looks like it says Fujix. Anyway, King Star, and it's MS1. And that is a pretty gray as well. So those are totally optional. Like I said, the threads in the thread kit or threads from your own stash will work perfectly fine, but just throwing out there that if you wanted to think about metallics, you'll want to start thinking about that soon. All right, so we have a lot of newbies doing this project, which is always exciting to me. I think that's so fun. There's a lot of people that are brand new, and then there's a lot that are brand new to Kimberbell. So that's just exciting to me. So we are going to go over step by step. You will not have to worry about anything. We go over all of the steps, all of the blocks together. I get a lot of questions in the beginning. How are we going to add the backing? How are we going to do this or that? And seriously, we'll go over all of it, so you don't have to worry. But I'll answer that one part since we do get that asked a lot. We will add the backing by stitching in the ditch. It is not added now. So when you, those of you that joined me for the table runner from the clear blue tiles, we did add backing and we quilted so that the quilting went on the backing. This is not how we're doing the quilt. We are doing the quilt as block by block quilting, and then we will add the backing by stitching in the ditch on the back. So we'll go over that, don't worry, step by step. So a couple things to go over. For the quilting, I will share each day what quilting design that I'm using on the blocks. If you decide to purchase a quilting design from the Kimberbell website, if you can use the affiliate link, that really helps. That link is underneath this video. But you can purchase the entire bundle of quilting. That's what I did. Or you can purchase individual certain ones. So it depends on your preference. If you want the bundle, then you're adding to your collection of quilting designs, and you can use all of these on future projects. If you're being a little bit more careful with money, you can buy just a couple and use that on your whole quilt. It's totally up to you. I will share what I'm using each day. So one thing also is we should talk about block by block versus clear blue tiles. So when you purchase, and blue versus orange. So when you purchase a quilting design from Kimberbell, you will see that when you look on their website, some are on blue and some are on orange. And the difference, and I will refer to blue and versus orange a lot throughout this quilt. So the blue ones are what I call a standalone design. And that means that nothing connects, nothing runs off into the side. You can put another block right next to it and it's not going to overlap at all. So for those that are doing a 5x7 hoop especially, then you will want to get blue designs, because multi-hooping, you want a standalone design that's not going to overlap. The orange quilting designs, those run into the seams. And the reason they do that is so that it looks like a seamless quilt design. So it doesn't matter, because our batting, we're going to cut off our batting beforehand. So it doesn't affect it, like it's not going to put batting in our seams, but the quilting design itself will run off into the seams and then connect down back and go through. And so that's the difference of the blue and the orange. And the only reason that it really comes into play is if you are double hooping, because you don't want that extra part that's going to run off into the seams. You don't want that to go onto your next hooping on top of your quilting. So I will always talk about that in each tutorial. I will say if you are using a 5x7 hoop, you would want to use a blue design. So that's the difference of orange versus blue. Both are available on the Kimberbell website. And like I said, I will talk about which ones that I'm using in my larger hoop. So that's one thing that I wanted to go over. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that you will combine the quilting design with the embroidery design, and you can do that in 3 different ways. So you can do it on software. I use Embellishment Essentials right now, and they're very easy. I will actually show you so you have a visual of what that looks like to add that in. Very easy to do in software, very, very easy, and you can make sure everything's lined up just right and bring it over to your embroidery machine and go ahead and stitch it out. So that's one way, using software, or you can do it on your embroidery machine. So you can easily you can load in your quilting design and then click the add button and add in the embroidery design. And that is super easy to do. So we did that a lot with the Winter Stash Buster pillow. We stretched ourselves. So those that were used to using software, we did it on our machine, and those that always did it on their machine, they tried it in software. So it's very easy both ways, and I will show both ways. And the other option is to not merge them. So you can do the quilting design first and then be finished with that and load your embroidery design and run with that. And that's probably how I will do the tutorials, just because it's the easiest for people to understand and see what we're doing. So I probably will do that on the tutorial, but for you, the easiest is either on the machine or software. Either way works just fine. You don't have to merge it, but you could. One other thing that I wanted to mention is, like I said, we generally use mesh cutaway in our hoop, and I haven't decided 100%. I might use tearaway in my hoop, and the reason is just because it's easier for you to see on the tutorial. So I do recommend mesh cutaway in your hoop because it's softer. And yes, this is a wall hanging. You're probably not going to use it as a regular quilt, but it also makes it a little bit thinner and easier at the last step when we do the stitch in the ditch. So I do recommend mesh cutaway. I may use tearaway in the tutorials just because it's easier for you to see on the tutorial. So I haven't decided that 100% yet, but that was one of the things that I wanted to mention to you. All right, I think I went over all the information. For those that are new, don't worry. I honestly go through it step by step, and you can ask questions, but don't worry. It's not scary. It's easy. It will be easy, and it will be fun because we're doing it together. So let's go ahead and go over the supplies that we need for today's block. So today we are doing umbrella 1. So I've got my little folder with my supplies, and I just pull that out. Keeps my craft room so nice and clean. I finished doing all of my cutting last night about 2 o'clock in the morning. I finished, and I felt so great about finishing, getting everything all ready. So a lot of people are not choosing to pre-cut, and that is totally okay. That is a personal choice. I actually used to never pre-cut because it's boring and it takes a long time. So you don't have to do that. Another thing is that people have trouble seeing the tiny little picture in the Kimberbell booklet that tells you what fabric. And so for those that have trouble seeing that, I'm going to go over each fabric on each tutorial, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about today. So today we are using the light gray with white dots on it, and it's a nice big fabric. I did back it with fusible stabilizer. I highly recommend always backing your main fabric, at least your main fabric, with fusible stabilizer. As you can see, I just ironed that onto the back of my main fabric. And it wards off puckers and makes it nice and crisp. You can see it looks so nice. So I highly recommend that. I do it on all of my fabrics, but some people just do it on the main fabric or ones that are going to show through. It's up to you, but I do it on all of them. You also have a choice of putting it on the entire fabric and then cutting, or cutting per piece. There was a lot of extra fabric on this, so it's up to you. If you're going to use those fabrics again, then you've got them already ready, and they're already stabilized for another project, so that's great too. I did it each one just because it is a little less stabilizer, and then I can pull out the stabilizer when I'm going to use that extra fabric. So All right, so for this first one, this big piece, we're gonna start with this fabric at 8.5 by 8.5. So a nice large light gray with white dots on it, 8.5 by 8.5, backed with fusible stabilizer. That's our main fabric for block 1. We are working on umbrella 1. It's on page 15. And then we need, so this is kind of interesting. I haven't used this before. I found it pretty interesting. So I'm going to share some pictures as we get through it, as we start working on it. But it is this light yellow mustard colored fabric. It's the silky solid in a mustard color. And that one is 6 by 4. You're going to cut this to 6 by 4. And I did back mine with fusible stabilizer. And then you're going to add the vinyl topping onto it. And you can see I already ironed mine onto my fabric. And then you put this clear, the topper, the paper from it, the paper from the vinyl, you put that on top of it, and that's what you use to iron on the vinyl. So it's pretty interesting. And then I kept it like this. It keeps it from curling or from getting sticky or anything like that. But it's just, it comes attached onto here, and you just put this on the top and then iron it. I hope that makes sense. And like I said, we will go over this as we get to it, and I took additional pictures for you as well, but this is our fabric that we're gonna use. It's the yellow silky solid, and it's really like a mustard color, a gold mustard color in 6 by 4, and then you are going to put that vinyl, the iron vinyl on the top of it, and use this paper on top of that to iron it. And then, like I said, I stored it that way in my packet. All right, and then we have one more piece of fabric, and same thing, we used the iron-on vinyl on it. So it is the yellow with white dots. See the yellow with white dots fabric, and that we cut to 3 by 3.5. 3 by 3.5, and I did back it with fusible stabilizer, and then I added that vinyl, the iron vinyl, onto it. And you can see I already ironed it on, and then you just put that other paper on top of it to iron it. So once you put that, you take off that first layer of the vinyl and put it on your yellow with white dots fabric, and then put this on top of that with the shiny side down and the paper side up, and you iron that, and it makes this adhere onto your fabric. You can see it's all adhered and ready to embroider on. And I used it, I kept that paper to be able to show you, and also to be able to store it that way until I'm ready to use it. So that is fun. I've never used that before. I think it's pretty cool. All right, and then the only other thing that we need is batting. So for this, our final cut size of this project is 6.5 by 6.5. So that tells me that we want batting that's at least 7 by 7. So 7 by 7, it doesn't have to be exactly that size, but at least that large, because we're going to trim it down anyway. Remember, I said that we're going to do our block by block quilting, and the second step of that is to lay down our fabric and tack it down, and then we trim it. So it doesn't really matter what size, as long as it's 7 by 7, so that it will grab that stitch around the tack down. So 7 by 7 for your batting. So there's 5 steps of quilting. The first one is the placement of the batting, the placement stitch for the batting. Then number 2 is the tack down of the batting. Number 3 is the placement stitch for the main fabric. Number 4 is the tack down or basting stitch of the main fabric. And number 5 is the quilting design. So you'll have those 5 steps in the block by block method. If you were to do the clear blue tiles method, it just has that 5th part, just the quilting design. We want to use the batting and all of those tack downs. So we're going to use the block by block method. So for this block, for umbrella 1, we are going to do weather 3. It's called weather 3. That's what I'm going to do. You can use any quilting design that is 6 by 6. Any quilting design that is 6 by 6. I am going to use this new weather 3. So what it is it looks like wind. And there's on this quilt, on this embroidery design, it's got the umbrella and a few raindrops. So with that wind, it'll look really cool, especially here in Idaho where it's very windy. So I think that'll be fun. I may use, I haven't decided for sure. I probably won't, I'm not sure. But you could use your gray metallic thread if you have one. I think I'll use that cashmere. I haven't decided that for sure. I might use a gray and then use the metallic for the rain, because then the rain will stand out a bit. I think that would be cute. Anyway, I'll know more as I get there. But for the Weather 3 design, like I said, if you purchase a quilting design, please use our affiliate link, and that will give some credit to our sponsor. They're working very hard for us on this project, so it's always nice to support our sponsors. So the wind, Weather 3, and you're going to use a quilting design that is 6x6. So for the Weather 3 design, if you have a 5x7 hoop, you can still use this Weather 3. It is a blue design, so it will still be a standalone design. You would do a 4x6 design and a 2x6 design, and it will look just like it's all one quilting design. So that will work for both of us, whether you're using a larger hoop or a smaller hoop. So I think I went over everything. So let's go ahead and get started making our first block. I'm very excited. Hey everyone, so as I mentioned, you can combine the quilting design and the embroidery design in 3 different ways. So if you decide you're going to combine them on embroidery software, I am going to show you very quickly how easy that is to do. So I'm using Embellishment Essentials, and I have it here. So I open up Embellishment Essentials and it automatically opens to the last hoop that I used, which is a 9x9. So we will change that. And I am going to go here to where it says Merge Stitch File. And I'm going to look for my quilting design first. So Spring Showers, let's see. Spring Showers Quilting Bundle. So I bought the bundle. If you do purchase the bundle, I ask that you purchase it from the affiliate link that is underneath this video to support our sponsor. So I'm just going to click on the Weather 3, which is the quilting design that we're going to use first. And I'm doing the block by block. And then I click on Pez, which is what I use for my Brother machine. And then all of the different size options show up. And I'm going to look for the 6x6. If you only have a smaller hoop, we'll talk about that as well. But for now, we're going to open up the 6x6 quilting design in Weather 3. Why am I not seeing it? 6x10, 6x12, 6x6. And we are going to do the horizontal version. So I just double click on this, and it opens up to that hoop. And like I mentioned, this is a larger hoop than I need. So I'm going to go up here to the Preferences folder and change to, I'm going to use my 8x8 hoop. So I would just click Apply and OK, and you can see it changed my hoop size. So that's our quilting design. You can see all the steps right here. This first one is our placement for the batting, and we do that right on our stabilizer. And then we lay down our batting and we tack it down. Number 2 is the tack down of our batting. Number 3 is the placement stitch for our main fabric. That again goes on the stabilizer. And then number 4 is the tack down or the basting stitch of that main fabric. And then the last stitch, number 5, or the last step, number 5, is the quilting design. So we have all of that. So now we want to merge in the embroidery design. So again, it's asking where do you have that? Where do you want me to pull that up for you? And I have mine under Spring Showers, Embroidery Files, Pez, and then it's the Spring Showers quilt. And all of the designs for the quilt will come up, and we are looking for Umbrella 1. And it is a 5x7. Here it is right here. So I double click on that, and it's going to automatically put it in the center of that hoop. And that was it. So you would do a File Save As, And you can save as a working file or a stitch file or both. A working file just means that you want to make changes to it later. Like if you add in wording on this, you can easily make changes on that. But I'm not making changes on this, so I'm going to just say save stitch file as, and then I would give it a name and save it. I think I'm going to keep them separated just so that it's easy for everyone that doesn't have software. I'm also going to show how to do this on the machine, but that's it. That's easy. So let's do another way. If you have a 5x7 hoop, then I'm going to go to File, New Page, and it's got my 8x8 hoop. So I'm going to leave it as my 8x8 just so that I can show what it will look like. So if you have a 5x7 hoop, this is going to give you a visual of what you're going to do. I will also show it on the machine. So again, merge stitch file. So I'm going to look for that quilting design again, and I have it here. And it was Weather 3 and embroidery files, block by block, Pez. All right, and then I'm going to look for a 4x6 design this time, because you can stitch a 4x6 in a 5x7 hoop. So that would be right here. All right, so I double click on that. All right, now you can see that it has all of the batting and placement and all that. You're actually going to bypass a couple of these steps, and we'll go over it when I stitch it out and show you all of the actual. So for this visual, I'm going to actually take these out just so that it's not confusing, so that you can just see, but I'll show you on the machine. But for now, I'm just clicking on it and then clicking the delete button on my keyboard, and I just have the quilting design. You're going to want that batting placement and tack down, so we will use it, but we will bypass the third and fourth steps. Probably, yeah, third and fourth. So for now, I just want to give you a visual. So this is the design. We're going to move it all the way over to the side, and like I said, I'm using Embellishment Essentials, and this is just to be able to create a visual for you. So once I have my 4x6, so I would imagine that you're doing your 4x6 and your 5x7 hoop, and you've got that one done, and then you need another one to make it equal out to 6x6. So 4x6 and 2x6 will equal out what we need. So I'm going to go here to merge stitch file, and I'm going to pull up the 2x6 design. So 2x6 in the horizontal, double click on that. And again, I'm going to go ahead and delete these steps. You're going to actually use them, but I'm just going to delete them so that the visual, this is just showing you what it's going to look like. And this will just show better as a visual. So I'm keeping these in the center. See these center mark guides, but for this, you're going to be using a different hoop, but I'm just giving it to show you. So I'm putting it pretty centered in my hoop. That actually looks great. So this is what it would look like to do a 4x6 design and a 2x6 design. And you can see it just looks like weather or wind. It looks like wind all together, and nobody will know that you've got a smaller hoop. It doesn't matter, it looks great. And then you would do a file save as, and your umbrella design, after you get all of your quilting design, your umbrella design will fit in your 5x7 hoop. So it's just the quilting that you need to worry about. And I'm going to show you how to do it on the machine as well, but this is an easy way to do it on software, and really it's just to give you a visual, because if I'm showing it in an 8x8 hoop, but if you don't have an 8x8 hoop, like I said, this is just a visual. So that's how it would look after you do your two hoopings. And again, I'll show you how to do that on the machine. So very quick, if you're using software with a bigger hoop, you can merge the quilting design and the embroidery design. If you're doing a 5x7 hoop, I will show you how to do it on the machine, but this gives you a visual of what it will look like when it's all done. I just want to point something out real quick. So this is your seam allowance. You want to trim your batting on that after that second step. When it tacks it down, then you're going to trim your batting, and you want it close enough, and this is why. This is where we get our seam allowance. This is step 3, that placement for our main fabric, and you can see it's a 1/4 inch away from the tack down of our batting, so that's where we get our seam allowance. Hey everyone, just a couple real quick things. So I mentioned this before. I have this USB cable that connects to my embroidery machine, and I mentioned it again just in case you haven't purchased one yet. There's a link under the video. I just received notification that a second person in our group had the drive on their machine go bad, and having a replaceable cable that's $7 or something like that versus a $200 drive in the machine. And the one that I heard from today, it was not repairable, so they're out the entire machine over that. I'm not sure why, maybe because it's older, but anyway, I prefer this one that is long enough that it can lay on a flat surface rather than sticking out from the drive. But whatever works for you, but get a USB cable for your machine. And the other thing is I am going to use metallic thread, and so I use this thread stand behind my machine, and then I thread it up through here, and it just works really well to give the thread enough space to straighten out and uncurl, and I slow my machine down and it works really great. If you do not use metallic thread for the rain, this Tidewater, if you got the thread kit, this Tidewater one will work really well for rain if you choose not to use a metallic thread. That's all. And if you haven't seen me mention it in my other videos, you are not supposed to use your automatic threader on machines when you're using metallic thread. I didn't know that until just a couple years ago when my automatic threader stopped working pretty soon after I got my new machine. So now I just use sharp tweezers and some good reading glasses, which I'm not wearing at the moment while I'm trying to do this while looking around a camera. Anyway, just a real quick note to let you know that you should always manually, oh come on, I need 2 hands, that you should always manually thread your machine when you're using metallic thread. right, it's time to cut our block, and I use orange pop rollers. I think they're awesome. This is the 6x6 or 6.5 by 6.5. The final cut size is 6.5 by 6.5, but when you sew them all together, the seam allowance makes them 6x6. So as you can see, I put my blocks in upside down. I've done this from the start. It works really well for me. And the reason I do that is because then I can see my 1/4 inch seam allowance and center the block using that seam allowance. So that's important to me, and that works well to be able to see that when the block is upside down. So to do the pop rollers, it takes a little bit of practice. Some say I understood them right from the start. They've always worked really well for me. So personal choice, but all I do is I get my rotary cutter and put it right into this channel in here. And you always start from the left if you are right-handed, and down into that channel and push against the side of the hoop. So against the side of the ruler there, and do both sides. And if you've got a rotating mat, it makes it easy too, because you don't have to reach around your table. You can just turn it and then do the same thing on the other two sides. And again, you're pushing into that channel against the side of the ruler. And I think that it works really well, really easily. Looks like it's time for a new blade. So I'll just fix that a little bit. And we have a completed block. Yay! So these are the orange pop rollers. There's a link under my video for the orange pop rollers. I also have this handy stand for them. They fit so perfectly in here. I love that. I got it on Amazon. I will add a link under the video. But we completed our first block. Not bad, right? I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, I did use metallic thread for the rain. That is not necessary. There's a nice teal color of thread in the thread kit. And it's all done. This is what the back looks like with our 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. I did use tearaway, so you can see the tearaway on here. The rest of my blocks I will be using mesh cutaway. I did that just so that you could see on this first tutorial, but it's preferred to use mesh cutaway. So anyway, pretty cool. And look at that vinyl. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. Pretty cool, huh? So today I am wearing my spring shower shirt. How fun is this? So this, I made this using an Elma embroidery design. The link is under this video. It is just the boot, the tulips in the boot. I added the spring showers to the shirt, and I will add a link to the font that I used. A bunch of us made this same shirt, and we used Embellishment Essentials to be able to add in the wording and to make it so that we took out some of the stitching, because you can see it overlaps a little bit. It goes into the tulips, and that was part of our stretch challenge, is I wanted to see if everybody could understand how it works to do some hidden stitches and how to move around fonts and to try different fonts and to make them vertical and to arch them. And so this was an Embellishment Essentials project that we did together, and so this is my fun outcome of that new learning experience. The shirt is from my local Fred Meyer, but I will add information under this video as to the quilting design to do that. So I am sharing my screen right now. I'm on Google. So if you were to type in YouTube and then type in Cristin Creates up at the top, that's how you get to my site. And you can click on here. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. I think that the subscribe button usually pops up here. I'm not sure. Anyway, so click on one of the videos. And so for the Candy Cane Lane video, you can see right here. So here's the video. The video is playing right now. It's telling us what to do on how to make Candy Cane Lane. And then if you scroll down underneath the video, I'm on a computer, but I assume it's pretty similar on a phone. So you can see right here, it says Cristin Creates, and then there's some information. Join in the fun in our group project, blah, blah, blah. And then you click show more. And look at all of this information is here. And it has what items are needed to order for the Candy Cane Lane project, and link on joining the Cristin Creates group, and a link on where to order. That one I'm getting asked a lot, and here's the link right there. And how to order from affiliate is right here. What items are needed to do the order or to do the project, how to organize your fabrics, what my favorite needles are. I get that asked a lot. And then what is coming up next. So what our next project is. So in every video that I do, if you just look in the video description, which is, like I said, right under this video, it's a different view for me since I'm the owner of it, but it will be very similar. So let's go out of it again and go back in. So you open up a video, and right there, right where it says Cristin Creates, there's the beginning of the wording that's under the video, and you click show more right here where it says show more. I hope this helps. And if you're on a mobile phone, the video description is right under the video. Next to the title of the video, I've drawn a circle around the drop arrow. Click that, and all the links and information you're looking for is right at your fingertips. I hope this helps.